Thorpe with the Reedy Homes team, bringing you real estate beyond expectations. It's November 2020. Time for gratitude, time for reflection, time for looking forward, and time for the Greater Phoenix Area Market Update. So here's what was shared back in April, and here's how it compares with what's actually occurred. As we look at it, you could literally lay the two images over the top of one another and see that what was projected did in fact occur. Another point I want to bring in that's relative to our real estate market and the overall economic health in general is the average FICO score. These are not people that are in the process on a home loan. These are average consumers, and it's risen slightly over the summer months. So why is this? If we take a look at where most households have used their stimulus checks, we see that 35% used it to pay down debt or to retire debt, and 36% saved that money. You've probably seen some of the news stories about deposits rising across the country, and 29% spent their stimulus money. So 2 out of 3 used the stimulus money to pay down debt or save, thereby improving their financial situation and raising their FICO score. Looking at consumer spending across the country, a large majority of states show consumer spending very near to where it was at the first of the year. The large majority, that orange-brown color, is within 10% of where they were in January. The country as a whole is within 3.7% of where it was January 1st. The question that's on a lot of people's minds is unemployment. You can see the height of unemployment towards the end of March was around 7 million people in 1 week claiming unemployment. Most recently, it's down to about 750,000. It's been in this area for the last couple of months, around 800,000 or 900,000 people filing for unemployment each week. Back in May, almost 25 million people were receiving unemployment insurance, and the most recent count is down to 7.3 million. And while 7.3 million people on unemployment is not a good thing at all, it's no longer 25 million. And for that, I have tremendous gratitude. One of the very common questions that we receive is around foreclosure and a 2021 housing crisis similar to 2008. Sort of this expectation of a coming flood of foreclosure properties. So what are the active forbearance numbers that would give us a view to that? Back in May, just over 4.7 million people were in forbearance. And that has decreased quite dramatically to October, where it's 3 million people for the last several weeks in active forbearance. Back in May, we reached this height of about 8.5% of mortgages in forbearance, and today it's 5.8% of all mortgages in forbearance, and that number is continuing to drop. Digging in a bit further on the 5.7 million families granted forbearance, this is what happened once the plan expired. The orange bar all the way over to the left, 2.4 million extended their forbearance, and then the next 2 bars, the blue and the green, show 44% of mortgages in forbearance were removed. These are the folks that said we don't need it anymore, we're going to move on, and they removed the forbearance. 500,000 paid off their mortgage, and we don't know the breakdown of those that sold, which would show up as a paid off mortgage. Now the gray bar shows 481,000 people expired while they were delinquent and are in some form of loss mitigation or working with their mortgage servicer for some type of workout plan. That leaves 80,000 expired while delinquent that are not in some form of loss mitigation. That 80,000, well, they're the ones that are susceptible and may end up in some type of distress sale or foreclosure. Initial projections were that 30% of all mortgages would end up in forbearance, and the predictions were that many of those would turn into foreclosures. There will be some that turn into some type of distress sale, but right now the bucket of potential candidates sits at 80,000, and they all still have options. Another data element to look at to weigh the likelihood of foreclosure quote-unquote deals is inventory, or the deficit of inventory. Most recently, we've hit a historical low of 2.7 months worth of inventory across the country, and it's much, much lower in the Greater Phoenix area. That all contributes to the predictions on home prices. Let's take a look at that. Zillow's on one end, and MBA is at the other end, and a lot of people are in the middle at that 4 or 5% prediction of appreciation going into next year. Lastly, let's take a look at the Home Affordability Index. The higher the index, the more affordable it is to purchase a home. We're sitting at 159 on this. And affordability was certainly very, very high during the years that distressed properties dominated the market. And where we stand today is very good relative to history, the years before the housing crash. Now for a look at our local numbers in the Phoenix greater area. Well, under $300,000 this time last year, the available inventory was double. From $46.86 last year to $22.73 this year, that's a reduction of $24.13 or 51%. Closed sales were down 24% from $49,766 last year to $40,174 this year. That's a reduction of $9,592. And appreciation, well, that was up 12.5%. The price per square foot for the under $300,000 price increased $18.49 from $147.51 to $166 a square foot. In the $300,000 to $600,000 range, there were 2,091 more homes available for sale this time last year. That's a 40% reduction in availability from 5,282 last November compared to the 3,191 currently available. Closed sales, well, they were up 6,038 or 20% from last year, from 30,954 to 36,992. And that high demand has also resulted in price appreciation of 11% or $18.19 per square foot. And that's an increase from $172.35 a square foot to $190.54 per square foot. And for the $600,000 to $1 million range, available inventory went from 2,772 this same time last year, down 58% to 1,156. That's 1,616 fewer homes available to today's buyers. That 58% decrease was due to an increase in the number of closed sales in this price range, an increase of 1,584, which is a 34% increase from 4,724 last year to 6,308 this year. Price per square foot for the 600 to $1 million range increased by 7.4%. That's up $16.99 per square foot, from $221.99 a square foot to $238.48 per square foot. And for homes over $1 million, the choices were reduced from 1,724 this time last year to 1,604. That's 1,240 less, or a 35% reduction. Closed sales, well, they were up by 803 from 1,931 last year at this time to 2,734 this year. That's an increase of 42%. And likewise, the average price per square foot, well, it increased $27.76 per square foot, from $359.92 to $387.68. for a 28% increase. Well, that's our November 2020 Greater Phoenix Area Real Estate Update. So hey, if you or somebody that you know is currently renting and is wondering, can I or should I buy right now? Look for our upcoming webinar, Rent versus Buy. We'll walk you through all the details, how much money you really actually do need or how little, all the details of the process, how to be protected. I think you'll be surprised by what you learn. Most people are. As always, if we can help you or the people that you care about in any way, call us, email us, text us. We're here when you need us. Reby Homes, bringing you real estate beyond expectations. Happy Thanksgiving and have a fabulous end of the year.